Guys, today we're going to be doing a crop focus on our cucumbers. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss it. It's coming up next on Hares and Harvest Farmstead. Hey guys, like I said before, we wanted to do a crop focus on our cucumbers. We put a poll out because we got a lot of requests for cucumber and tomato videos, and so put a poll out to see which one you guys wanted first, and cucumbers won. Tomatoes were very, very close second, so we're gonna post that on our next video. And we apologize for not for the length of time that it's been since we've posted our last video. We want to do these every week to every other week, but for those of you who don't know, it has been a crazy season here in the Midwest, or probably over the United States period, for farming. We've gotten a crazy amount of rain and a crazy amount of cooler weather that has made growing quite difficult. So we've been paying really close attention to that and just haven't really had the time to post these videos. But we wanted to make sure that we do this today. So the first thing I wanted to talk about with our cucumbers is soil amendments and soil maintenance. We are a no-till operation. I think I've said that before, and so we do very minimal cultivation. Nothing more than a wire hoe after we've gotten the bed set. We use a wire hoe for a 1-inch cultivation to keep weeds from germinating. And that helps us a lot with our weed management, but other than that, we don't do any other cultivation. The first time we put a bed in, we sometimes have to cultivate because it's so rock hard that it would take years to build a topsoil layer soft enough for us to plant in. And so that's what we had to do with most of our beds this time. And then after that, we don't, because we want to make sure that we are creating living soil. We want the bacteria and the nematodes and the worms and the ants and all that stuff that lives, that whole ecosystem living in the soil beneath what we can see. We want that to remain healthy and alive so that our plants are growing in living soil and not just nutrient-rich soil. But when we planted, we had nothing but sand, and so we had to amend our soil with to get the nitrogen and the potassium and the nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus levels up, and make sure that we had enough nutrients for our crops to grow. And for those of you who don't know, the cucumbers and tomatoes, all those guys are nitrogen loving plants, and so you want to make sure to amend your soil properly. You don't want to over fertilize it because that can be just as bad as under fertilizing, but you want to make sure that it has enough to grow and that you do it gradually. So what we did was we cultivated some bone meal and blood meal into the soil. Blood meal has the nitrogen, bone meal has the phosphorus, along with some kelp meal and some other amendments. And then we put a top layer of compost, just like you can see here. We've got a top layer of compost right here, and it's quite soft. We're obviously still working on it to make sure that by the end of year 2 or 3, we want to be able to stick our hand right in and not have to have any resistance whatsoever. But that takes a little bit of time to build. But we put a 2 to 3 inch layer of compost on top, and that helps with our water retention. And it also adds some nutrients to the soil. And when the compost is retaining the water well, then it's going to retain the nutrients that are sprinkled kind of on top, and allow the root systems to drink up that water, drink up the nutrients, and provide healthy plants. The other thing that we do, and we pay pretty close attention to with our cucumbers, is the pruning. And for pruning, that was something that we didn't even know needed to happen for a while, and then we learned differently. And the more you know about your plant, the better you're going to be able to take care of it. And so with a cucumber, it's not quite as simple as pruning your tomatoes, because tomatoes, you just clip the branches off and you clip the suckers off, and that's it. You know exactly what to look for. But with a cucumber, you're not pruning the branches, you're pruning the growth points. And so what I want to talk about a little bit is the parts of the cucumber, so that you can see exactly what you're needing to prune. And so this is kind of a good example right here. Every every few inches you're going to find a node, which is a section, I can't really, there we go, which is a section right here on the cucumber, and every node has a fruit, has a leaf, it has a tendril, which are these little stringy things that allow it to grow up the line, and it has a growth point, which is these guys right here. And the growth point is what you want to prune off, and you just take that with your fingers, pluck it right off, and you do that on each one. And basically what you're doing when you're pruning, as with every vegetable, you're telling the energy where to go. You are telling the plant not to spend its energy on things that are unproductive. And so when you're doing things on tomatoes or cucumbers where you're plucking off branches, or you're pruning off even lower hanging fruit that's been there for a minute, go ahead and prune those off, because you don't want the plant to spend so much energy on that and not energy on producing more fruit. The more you prune and the better that you prune, the quality of your pruning will allow you not only to produce higher quality fruit, but it will allow you to produce more of it. And then as we stated before, we grow our cucumbers up lines. You can do, there's different methods on how you can grow cucumbers. A lot of people like the Florida weave method, and whatnot, and that's totally fine, but this is the way that we do it. We take mule tape and string it across our entire greenhouse, and just kind of screw it into the support so it's nice and tight. And then we take this tomato twine and we tie it to the mule tape. And then these cucumber plants, both we grow two types. It's Boston pickling, which is over there, and then we've got our Market Moors, which are our slicing cucumbers. And each of them will grow about 6 to 8 feet on these lines. And what you want to do is you just take them, oh, there you go, take them and kind of help them climb the line a little bit. And you'll pretty much have to do this every day to every other day. Just come in here, we come in here for probably the first 10 minutes of every day and try and help these guys grow up the line. And that's pretty much the basics of growing cucumbers. It's not really fancy, it's nothing crazy. One thing we do try to do is, the reason we grow them in the hothouse is for two things. One, cucumbers love warm weather. They hate anything under 55-degree soil temperature. You will start to see frost damage and cold damage on the inside of your cucumbers, and the worst part of that is, for most farmers, you won't even know that has happened until you've already sold it to the customer, and they come back complaining because they cut it open and it looks all dried and rotted and gross, split open. And we've even had a little bit of trouble with that in this difficult growing season. We saw some of our early cucumbers have a little bit of cold damage. It wasn't a ton, because we didn't really let it get very cold in the greenhouse. But a couple nights we really just didn't have a choice. We weren't in control of that. And then, yeah, they don't like cold. And then we also try to make sure that we keep our cucumbers and tomatoes and all that stuff on drip line, because when you get moisture and water sitting on the leaves, you tend to risk bacteria and fungal infections in the cucumbers, and different mildew and stuff like that, and you just don't want to see that. You see a lot of that on your different types of squash and stuff, so that we keep those on drip line as well. Same thing for the cucumbers, keeping it on drip line, keeping the moisture level low, and keeping it vented in here during the day so it doesn't get too humid, nor does it get too hot. They do not like cold weather, but they also don't like anything too warm, so we try to keep it between 85 and 95 degrees in our greenhouse. But yeah, that is about it for our cucumbers. Want to keep this a pretty short video today. Thank you guys for checking out our channel. Again, if you could do us a favor, go ahead and like and subscribe, share us with your friends, let them know that we're here. And as always, leave a comment below asking for content. We want to be helpful for you guys. We want to share our experiences with you guys if we can, and ask as many questions as you guys want. Hope you guys are having a great day, and we will see you later.